On public display in the lobby just outside those doors, there's a draft of a letter from James Baldwin to his friend and mentor, the painter Buford Delaney. In the posthumous letter written on a notepad, Baldwin describes Delaney's paintings through the lens of nature, as if its elements, the rain, the thunder, were metaphors for the man himself. Quote, "What I saw from this window then filtered through these leaves was a kind of aria verse, moaning and wailing when it rained, bitter with the thunder, hesitant and delicate, with the first light of morning, and as blue as the blues when the last light of day departed. Well, that life, that miracle is what I saw in Buford's paintings. And over all the time we had known each other, and over much more time than that, they had the power to illuminate, to redeem, to reconcile, and heal." In this description, Baldwin's pen blue cursive stretches across the yellow page, conjuring a portrait of Delaney as a natural force laid into the night's canvas. And on that canvas of the writer's imaginary, this portrait of a man that was Baldwin's lifeline is forever tied here to exclamations of nature's fury and beauty. Baldwin first met Delaney in Greenwich Village on 181 Green Street when he was 15 and working after school in a sweatshop on Canal Street. The young writer was then steeped in the life of familial alienation and the questions of belonging that Go Tell It on the Mountain would later bring to the fore. Black and brilliant and gay and an artist and loving and kind and knowing and patient, Delaney was a radically different example of manhood for Baldwin and an important example of how to be and survive the world. They were kindred souls. Both their fathers were ministers. They both could sing. Both could spin a tall tale. They both came from large families with deep Southern roots. Both were figuring out how to be themselves and love who they chose to love despite oppressive cultures of cis masculinity. And important here, they were also introverts despite the largesse in which we now associate their personalities. And here I'm thinking of Baldwin in particular as a man given to solitude. In fact, when the late Elijah Muhammad asked him of his religious beliefs, he had answered, quote, "I'm a writer. I like doing things alone." In the early hours when time thins and the clock begins to repeat itself as it faces the waking hours, I can imagine Baldwin in front of that pad of paper in some hotel room in Paris, looking through a window and reaching out into the night to pull stars onto the page. And in the archive of Baldwin images, there is, it seems, an in-kind power embedded in the hundreds of romantic photographs of the artist working into the wee hours of the morning, attended by a glass of whiskey, an unashed cigarette, and eyes large as cotton tufts blooming epiphanies behind their glaze. I have imagined that there in those eyes were sparks of some kind of stoic insight, or instances of the writer dispatching evidences of his life onto the page, as if he were a machine. These photographs too often bring to mind stereotypes of the gallant visionary, the artist as tireless martyr and savior, and the artist as redeemer and prophet. But is there another truth? What if what is actually there in those photographs is something as simple as human loneliness? What if who is there is someone as vulnerable as any of us drawn under by tides of the world's troubles? It is here that his letter opens a space of a relatable vulnerability, and we, those of us who reach out to Jimmy, are afforded a glimpse of the artist as completely human. To suggest that there is a value in this kind of witnessing is to say that just outside those doors in this auditorium is a small but valuable piece of a larger human archive of empathy that lives within us and will outlive us. It is also to say that as long as the Schomburg stands, this important moment in the life of one of this nation's greatest artists will remain, and that this moment will stand. will continually remind us of how each of us can reach out and grow larger from friendship. Thank you.